shout out to Hoop Jargon, man. I'm gonna add you to the crew, man. This crew called Hoop Jargon. They've been getting at it, man. They the ones that's gonna grill you, man, because they majority all Houston people. So that's
shout out to Hoop Jargon. Shout out to Hoop Jargon.
What up, everybody?
What's up, everybody?
What's happening?
Brothers and sisters. Cheering, everyone.
Look like you dressed up for a certain occasion, Rich.
Yeah, I'm dressed today because I'm here for the official funeral for the 2021 Dallas Cowboys season. So I am the minister, bishop, deacon, usher, brother, minister, Honorable Richard Walker today.
Brother minister.
I'm ready to deliver a eulogy today.
Well. Don't deliver it, man. And y'all thank y'all for coming, man. Rich got a funny bit that's coming on that. Obviously, y'all know why we're here. We got a great show lined up with you. We got NFL agent Cory Williams from Overtime Sports Management is going to join us. He just dropped out, but he'll be back. We're going to talk about the season that was, the season that never was, however you want to look at it. Let's get it, fellas.
Let's dive into it, man. Let's get right
to it.
Dante
S in the building says replace Zeke. Ooh, we came in hot.
Hey. I mean, this testimony time.
Testimony time. Pastor, what you got? What you got, Pastor?
Well, let's start from the very beginning of this season. And we've been telling y'all all year long, we don't know what this team is. Yeah. We've seen flashes of a Super Bowl team. Mm-hmm. We've seen flashes of a team that didn't deserve to be in the playoffs and everything in between. That's right. Us true Cowboys fans, we were already conditioned for this moment because we know we've been down this road so many times before the past 26 years. It is the simple things that we have been talking about all day long. Pastor's been telling you to get your life right, and now you got tapped on the shoulder and you're at the gate worried about judgment. So we done told y'all about those stupid penalties. We done told y'all about your blocking schemes. We done told y'all about just the poor decision making, the lack of discipline, the lack of focus, the lack of obvious preparation. Mm-hmm. All of that manifested itself last Sunday.
Hey, great start to that. And Cory's ready. So, Rich, I'm going to let you keep cooking. Okay. Darren, I'm going to let you jump in as the junior deacon and help him out, man.
We bring a deacon in today.
We need to do this. So, without further ado, Cory Williams, what's going on, man?
Cory, what's up, man?
I'm good, fellas. I apologize. Look, as an agent, I'm always on the go. I'm about to head to LA for the NFL PA game, so it's a grind every week right now during this part of the year.
Nice.
Well, it's all good because you heading to LA and the Cowboys aren't.
That's right. Yep. But you know what? And now that they lost to now that the 49ers beat the Packers, I mean the Niners are real. So that was the Niners are just a good team. They're high at the right time.
Yeah. Well, we try to tell everybody going into that game that they were a dangerous team to play against. People overlooked the fact that they were 7-2 over their last 9 games, including wins over the Rams and the Cardinals. And I mean, they beat some good teams along the way. So they were a good team to begin with. They just had a lot of injuries. So.
Yeah, especially at the beginning, and then Lance having a feeling. I was actually at Lance's first start, when they played the Texans, because I had my receiver Jordan Beasley on at that game. He was playing, so I mean the Niners, they're hot. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go into Tampa Bay or LA. Wouldn't that be something if LA wins today and then they go to LA and take the Super Bowl away from them?
That would be. It would be. And that would be crazy to have, like you said, the 49ers against the Rams. Wow. For the NFC championship game, that's oh my God, the city would be going crazy, man.
That would be going
crazy.
Cali would just be off the hook. Like I think
Tupac on fire,
man.
I think Tupac would come back for that dude. California Love.
A Tupac side.
Yo, that's funny. That's funny. So, Well, yeah, I mean, and that's why I was kind of alluding to, like, where I wanted us to kind of go into the playoffs with some momentum. It's just we were just sputtering, like, and I was just like, good teams. That's not how you enter the playoffs. You don't yield good results because, again, like you let in, Rich, still not having an identity, still not knowing who we are. I'm just like, man, this doesn't look good. And as you see, 49ers are rolling. Now, let me ask you, does it make you feel a little less worse that we lost to them and they went off into Green Bay and did what they did?
No. Because you got to worry about what's going on in your own house. You know, like you're a heavyweight boxer. Let's say if you are one of Buster Douglas's opponents, and he goes out there and knock out Mike Tyson, and then you knock him out, like you can't worry about Tyson. You got to worry about the fight with him. So you lost your fight. You had your moment, and you got knocked out by Buster Douglas. So probably not even Buster Douglas. You probably got knocked out by Buster from The Color Purple that was in the bar, Oprah. You know, that's what I got knocked out by. So I mean, you know, there's no excuse for it. They did not handle business when it was time. So, but that kind of leads us to why we brought you on, Corey, because the off season is going to be. It's always, to me, I think it's the second most exciting part of the team to see all the changes that happen with free agency and contracts and salary cap and so you being one of the men behind the scenes, you know, negotiating these contracts with these teams. I mean, just kind of tell us about that process. Like, you know, you have a player that you represent. You have basically the field of teams that are available. What's the process? Like, how do you go about, you know, negotiating deals for your players?
Great question, Rich. So really what you have to do first off is figure out what class of free agent your client is. Because you know there's actually three levels. Most people don't really know that there's actually three levels of free agency. You have what's considered an exclusive rights free agent. That's one who has 2 years of service or less. Then you have restricted free agents who have 3 years of service or less. And then you have the unrestricted free agents who, unless they're actually franchise tag, they can go anywhere because they have 4 years of service or more. So let's go to the first one, exclusive rights free agent. And actually, I'm dealing with that right now. I have my safety, PJ Locke, who's on the Denver Broncos. He just finished his second season with the Broncos, and about 2 days.
And the Broncos with the Cowboys, yeah.
Yeah. And that's right. That was one of the bad games the Cowboys lost. They messed up their seeding. Yeah,
he had a great game that game too. I remember.
Yeah. And so one of the things we do is first off just find out the temperature of the room. So first thing I did about a couple of days after the season ended, I just wanted to say, hey, you know, who's the director of football administration is Rich Hurtado, great guy with Denver. I just said, hey, Rich, you know, I'm just trying to check and see, what the plan is for PJ moving forward. And so for any guy, so when you're exclusive rights free agent, you can't go anywhere. So literally, if they don't tender you, you're actually, a free agent, and you just back on the street again. So that's a unique situation. So of course the Broncos already want to keep PJ, and they're gonna we're gonna talk about the contract at Indianapolis. So a lot of people think that Indianapolis also, Rich, I know we've been at the combine. I don't know about the two fellas that that's where a lot of deals are made. Whenever, because that's right before the new league year. So the new league year usually starts about middle of March, mid to late March. This year the combine is a little later. It's March 1st to the 7th. But there's a lot of business, and they say no tampering, but there is tampering. So there's a lot of conversation behind closed doors. But just for restricted free agents, those have 3 years of service. So if you have a restricted free agent, they can get offers from other NFL teams, but the team that they actually they ended the season on, they would have the first right of refusal. So they can match any kind of offer. So you'll see sometimes, somebody's offered, like, let's use the Cowboys, for example. So let's say, I don't know any restricted free agents that the Cowboys have, but let's say we have restricted free agent, Tom Smith, and he's offered a 4-year deal by the Jaguars. So then Will McClay, Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, they have the option to say, okay, well, we can match that, and then that player can't receive any other offers because now he's a Cowboy for that 4-year, $25 million deal. So a lot of times what teams will do to try to combat that, they'll front load the contracts because they know that if a team is tight on the cap, they can't take on that heavy hit. So you'll see a lot of maneuvering around in that situation to where, like, let's say, case in point, Green Bay. There was another situation, article last night that said they're $44 million over the cap. They're going to lose a lot of quality players. I'm not sure what the Cowboys number. Do y'all know what the Cowboys number is this year?
As of now, they're 16 over.
Yeah.
Okay.
16.5 over.
Yeah. And so every year it's just that reconfiguring of that lineup. And, I was in Atlanta for my quarterback, Felipe Franks, and, I told him, look, take a good look, enjoy this locker room, because next year it won't be the same. Same for any of the 32 teams. A lot of the familiar faces probably will be there. But even with the Cowboys, I think that, if I'm not mistaken, I think Tony Pollard is actually an unrestricted free agent this year. I think he just hit his 4th year, or is it his 3rd year?
I think this is his 3rd year. I'm not sure. I didn't see him on the list of free agents though, but I know they got some big names. They got Randy Gregory, they got Michael Gallup, Cedric Wilson was some of the ones that come to mind. Like some guys that actually contributed. So somebody's gonna be gone. They won't be able to keep it wrong.
That's true, and that's the thing. What every general manager will tell you is that we love what we have, but you can't. You have to make some tough, hard business decisions for the moving forward in the franchise to try to get better.
So what do you think of the Cowboys situation? Like, to me, the 2 players that stick out the most as being cap prohibitive are Zeke Elliott and Tyra Smith. You got 2 guys that are, in my opinion, past the point where they're being effective in regards to what they're being paid. Like they're not performing up to what their current salary is. Tyra Smith, honestly, I think is probably a few dog years away from being the next me, an old washed up guy. And Zeke Elliott, he's just not the same anymore. I think he's a middle tier back now, and you don't get better as a running back with time. So they're in the fat part of the contract where they got the biggest part of their salary. What's it like from the player side saying, well, yeah, I gave you all this on the front, this is what we negotiated, I should get my money, but the team is like, hey, we can't sign anybody else, and you're not what we thought you were going to be this year. So what's the balance on that? Like, do they sit down and say, hey, you struggled to make 1,000 yards this year, saying, can we get a discount? Like, how does that work?
Great question. So what the main, whenever I was in law school at Thurgood Marshall School of Law, one of the things they always said, you cannot reward players for past performance. You reward them for what they are moving forward as a player. So one of the conversations that Jerry Jones and Will McClay, Will is just an outstanding evaluator of talent. I'm sure if you knew, he just got the new title as VP of Player Personnel, but he's pretty much the inner workings of the Cowboys, great brother and everything like that.
I wish we could promote him to owner.
Yeah, exactly. But they have those tough conversations. So the first thing they're going to say is, can we, renegotiate this deal? We need you to take a salary cut, and and if you're not willing to take this cut, then we're going to have to probably move on from you. And considering that when the thing which is tough is that you have to look at the actual value of the player. An offensive lineman has much more value than a running back. They always say running backs, receivers, or wings are a dime a dozen. So definitely Ezekiel has a lot less leverage in this situation, knowing that you have an up and coming back in Tony Pollard, that situation. So he probably is going to kind of start now that whole starting going around the league, the year, going around 1-year deals like Le'Veon Bell, like what's the other one that was notable this year? Devontae Freeman. Guys.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Right. So they'll probably just kind of move around the league, do 1-year deals, and teeter out until they're done. With Tyron, Rich, you bring a great point. He has been impacted by injuries. His body is breaking down, as offensive linemen do. But I think that the Cowboys are probably going to try to keep him, because you just can't really get that kind of a player in Tyron. You see the Andrew Whitworth, is playing till he's 40, with the Rams. So Tyron probably has a couple of good years if healthy. It's always that caveat, if healthy. But it's,
good luck with that one.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
That's true.
We call him
But
Ty Rouch out as Ouch Smith.
I love it. I love it.
Every time you
Yeah.
see Ty, you hear him say ouch.
You just know he's gonna be on
You
the
know.
non-performance list. Like, yep, that's about right. All right,
Right.
you just live with it.
And also because he has a little more of a cap-friendly contract, Jerry would probably be willing. And Tyron, once offensive linemen have a different kind of ego. They're not driven by the money. Now, Tyron's, he's comfortable. So I think you'll find a situation with him where he may take the less money.
Yeah.
Zeke, he might think, oh, my value is worth this and that, and he probably will have to move around, because, Tony Pollard's a strong back, and he can be that bell cow back moving forward, and then they'll draft somebody to play the Tony Pollard role that he was playing as the Batman, to Robin. So they'll probably get that same position. So I would say if there was a situation, if you're looking at one versus the other, another player that you got to think about too is Vander Esch. That's another player.
That's Rich's favorite guy, actually.
Oh, what?
Oh, yes, sir. Go ahead, Rich.
You want to
Cory? I'm asking you to reach out to this young man and help him find his true calling in life. There's an advanced auto parts right down the street that's hiring for a parts manager. This man don't even be in the NFL, man. I'm sorry. All this dude does is run in a circle. He don't even know where the hell he's going. How are you, the Mike linebacker? You supposed to be sitting there looking in the backfield, see where the running back go, and you cut the other damn way. Like every time. You can look at this dude's film, and it's just like, it's like throwing darts at a dartboard, man. We call him Leighton Van der elsewhere. Because whenever the player's on, he's elsewhere. He's elsewhere. We don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know what's wrong with that guy. He gets paid to do wind sprints in pads. Like, please reach out to that guy. Like, negotiate for him to go to like the XFL or something. Get him out of here.
XFL. Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's going to be a number of guys that are going to be expendable, and they want to keep the core guys that can really enhance the value of the team. Like I say, Tyron, I think he'll stay. He may go on a team-friendly deal. Zeke, I would probably say he's going. Vander Esch is going. They're probably going to lose Gallup. Gallup is probably going to demand.
Yeah, I've been on that.
Yeah, I say that if they're able to trade Amari Cooper, they might go ahead and, that may be a thing. I just want to put that out there.
That was a question I had for you, Cory.
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, but the question I had, because I think that's a real interesting dynamic when you mentioned the core guys. And, coming to this season, obviously there was a lot of optimism with that trio with CD, Gallup, and Amari. Amari obviously has the big number attached to his deal. So I know, with their cap situation, what have you, that's going to factor in big. But I don't think, this is my opinion, that's what I want to ask you about. I didn't think they were going into that situation looking just to dump Amari Cooper for salary cap purposes because he's too valuable. I think they were trying to get value for him, and then opt to go a different route, say in the either draft or free agency, because of the Gallup situation, particularly with his injury. Because I think, and I'll land the plane here. Does Gallup's injury complicate their decision a little bit with what they're doing or what they're thinking with Gallup?
It does, and I mean, because I think Gallup has an ACL,
That's right. Yeah, clean ACL tear.
ACL.
Yeah. So what they're probably going to do, what my best guess would be, is do a prove-it deal more or less for Gallup. So get him on a 1-year deal. He'll be ready for camp because most of these guys now, it used to be a 9 to 12-month recovery for ACL. Now you got guys coming in 6 months, so he'll be ready for training camp. So they're not worried about that. They don't need him to prove himself in OTAs or any of that kind of stuff, so they can take that time. But but the value of him in the unrestricted free agent market is going to be totally impacted. So that's why I see him probably just doing a 1-year deal, just like Juju Smith-Schuster with the Steelers. Come back next year, have enhanced value if he can stay healthy. But I think the thing is, like I said, with Amari, yes, they are going to try to get some value, but it's going to have to be a situation like with Julio Jones where they actually are able to get him to renegotiate or, have a team to take on that higher cap number, because now teams kind of learn from past mistakes, and I think most teams probably think that now, shoot, Tennessee screwed the pooch by trying to trade for Julio Jones, because they got a washed out Julio Jones. So are you getting a washed out Amari Cooper? Where is he at as far as your value? Again, wings, wide receivers. I call them wings. NFL teams call them wings. So wings and backs, running backs are a dime a dozen. So you just got to make sure that when you're potentially taking on a guy like an Amari Cooper, that he still has at least 2 to 3 years in him. I mean, I could see a team maybe like the Patriots who would take a look at him, because teams that are almost on the cusp of kind of getting there, but not quite there. A veteran receiver might be able to kind of help them out, but he's not going to go to a team that's like the Lions. That's one of the worst things in the league. Right. Makes no sense.
You got me one more question I had regarding the Amari situation. The reason his situation is really not necessarily unique, but just really interesting to me is because he's you mentioned the Julio Jones situation with Tennessee, which is a great reference point. But Julio Jones had noted miles, on the card. Amari Cooper's 28, 29, I'm guessing. So he's kind of still right I would think in the prime of his deal. So from a value standpoint, which you referenced earlier, I think the value with him would be a little bit stronger. And the last part of that question is, do you think there's any way that Dallas keeps him even at his spot, or would they have to renegotiate that number to be flexible, do anything going forward?
That's another great question. I do think that if he were to renegotiate his deal, they might go ahead and take him on. And to answer your question, I do think Amari Cooper has way more miles in his left than Julio Jones. I mean, Julio was the bell cow receiver for years. And now Amari kind of has been helped out by CD Lamb. And then also the other emerging guys that have been on the team. So I think that the question is, now keep in mind, remember I told you about egos. Wide receivers, I hate to say it, they are kind of more the worst ego-driven kind of players. Rich, they're divas. They're divas. So the question is Amari's going to ask himself what kind of value can I get in the open market? Who's willing to pay me? He might still think he's the number one receiver in the National Football League in his mind. We know he's not. He's probably not even top 10 at this point. But, when you consider age and everything kind of coming together. But, in his mind, he probably thinks he's one of the best guys. So when that situation occurs, he might not be willing to work with the Cowboys as much, and he might just say, look, go ahead and release me. I think I can get more value moving on another team, and they'll go around.
Got it. Appreciate it, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah, no, that's game right there. I think we all saw this coming. Shout out to Minnie Davis in the building. Shout out to Flight Sports TV, Between the Days Sports.
Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up?
William Godfrey as well. Yes. Yeah, so I think that was always saying right on the wall, man. We have 3-star receivers like that, and Gallup contract is coming up first. I always saw this coming. I was like, I just wonder how they're gonna move. So it's good to hear you break that down, Cory, from your insight perspective of how contracts work and how player value goes against basically potential down the road versus age. And so I think people need to hear this kind of stuff coming straight from an agent, because it from a applied point, not from a speculatory point. So I really appreciate that, man.
Oh, no doubt. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So as we move forward, Rich, Darren, you got anything else we can add about this off-season situation about our Cowboys?
Well, is there any way that you can negotiate a new owner for the Dallas Cowboys? Can we start there? I know you got a lot of connections. Maybe we can do a 2-for-1 deal, like 2 owners could, put the money together and split it. And I don't know. Maybe rub elbows with Mark Cuban or somebody. Help us out, man. Please.
I wanted to touch base with Cory before he moves on, because he's referenced one of my favorite guys, and I'm exceedingly grateful as a Cowboy fan that he's part of the organization. I'm optimistic in the fact that Dallas has Will McClay. I think Will McClay has been just unbelievable in his time and tenure here. I'm glad the Cowboys have been aggressive in keeping him because he was the best kept secret for a few years, and then of course Houston made their overtures in getting him, and he respectfully declined. Same with the Detroit Lions, and now you see the promotion. And new contract situation. Thankfully, gratefully, this offseason. I think if they had lost him, in addition to some of the players that they're obviously going to lose, it would have been massive step back for the organization. But Cory, talk about dealing with, in your assessment, even some of the people that are tuned in on just how solid and how valuable a talent Will McClay is to this front office, and just what a great talent guy, and how he can help the Cowboys hopefully get past this malaise of first round exits going forward.
Yeah. Well, another outstanding question. And Will McClay, out of all the, my favorite non-GM guys, he's definitely one of my favorites. Just a true keen evaluator of talent. One thing most people don't know is Will came from arena football. And he was actually, he built that Dallas Desperados team and all those different squads. And, he's just been that guy. The tough part for me with Will, like I say, is that, we need more black general managers in the National Football League. So
talk about it.
Yeah, my thought is, I love the fact that Dallas is taking care of him. I get that. But at the end of the day, he still won't have ultimate control of an NFL franchise like he deserves, because everything's going to be checked down. We got our check down. So Stephen Jones is going to be a check down. Jerry's going to be a check down, just like you mentioned, Rich. I mean, it's just like, Jerry's not going to sell. You're going to have to rip that from his dead fingers in the past tries to sell this. So
right.
I just hope that at some point, if, and I think that what would happen is that if Jerry were to pass away, I think that's probably when Will would probably just realize, okay, I think he just loves Jerry and respects Jerry so much as the owner of the team that he's willing to kind of take a secondary role or even a tertiary role when you think about, Stephen being groomed. But my thing is, I think that's until Jerry will relinquish his role, and he may be that head coach. That general manager in waiting, or like Josh McDaniels was supposed to be the head coach in waiting for the Patriots. So maybe he's just waiting out to see what Jerry's going to do.
That's been my thought.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, praying for, because I know Will deserves it. And when you think about it, we got 4 general managers. We got the Vikings. We had the Giants before Sean got the job. Then we had the Steelers. I heard Colbert's going to retire. It hasn't been formally announced, but they're kind of writings on the wall. I mean, he would have been the Bears. I mean, he would have been an excellent general manager, for any of those teams and turn any of those franchises around. So enjoy the gift of Will McClay while it's there. I think he's going to be
trust me. Well,
there.
To your point, Cory, real quick, because I think he would have done that very same thing. I think you bring an excellent point that I think he's in a waiting. I think there's an internal agreement with the Joneses and Will McClay. And the reason I say that is because he was very clearly offered that position with 2 different franchises, and he turned them down, right? So clearly you've already had franchises, 2 in the last 5 years, that have recognized his talent, his potential, and 2 franchises that needed it. Let's be clear, in the Lions and the Texans, and he turned them down. So he's gotten that league-wide recognition from franchises, again, from 2 franchises that sorely needed a Will McClay type talent in their organization to stay with the Cowboys. So the Cowboy fan in me, the hope is the fact that he's turned down 2 GM jobs, he's re-upped to stay here, continually, is that there's an internal discussion like, hey man, look, when the old man, either he steps back or when that day comes, he likely will pass, which of course we have to think about given where he is in his life, that Stephen obviously moves into Jerry's role and Will actually becomes officially, instead of the de facto portion, becomes the GM. So that's my thing, and just given the fact that, he's been offered 2 GM gigs before and he's staying here, so hopefully that's the case.
I hope so too, and I think you're right about that. I mean, Jerry has a way of rewarding people who've been faithful to the organization.
Loyalty.
Yeah, and
Extremely loyal.
start with Jason Garrett. So I see it. I see that that's probably the case, and they want to give him every role other than the general manager, even though he's going to be the general manager. And every time, I mean, Will's a smart man. He's seeing all these GM jobs. He's like, look, let's re-up. Let's get more money. I know I can walk. I can be a free agent. So take care of me, and then we'll continue to to have our relationship together. But I mean, I definitely see probably within the next 3 to 5 years, if the Cowboys are not a Super Bowl contender, I think that's the easy time for Jerry to walk away and just kind of be the GM emeritus and just give the reign to Will McClay and let him lead the team.
I'm going to take the under, Corey, on that 3 to 5. I'm taking the under. Please, let's have the under.
Yeah,
I'm hoping for the under too. I mean, it's so funny. I'm gonna tell you a real quick story, and I definitely got ahead. So I was I was at one of the local pro days, one of my prospects that was in the draft, and Dallas has what's called a local day, where anybody from the Dallas area gets to participate in the draft. And I still remember it was Jerry was talking to this white agent, and he said, "Which of these are your boys?" And I literally just took like wow, like these are men, and then they're looking at black men. So, and they saying boys. I was really ready to say something to Jerry, but I was like, look, let me stay in my lane. But that's that whole mentality. Maybe he was just saying cowboy, but I don't think that's what he meant.
No.
So that's why.
No, we know that Jerry donated money to the Confederacy in his early 20s. We know that.
South shall rise again.
That's why the football guys were punishing his ass for 26 years. We just been
funny.
Oh man. But I definitely love it, fellas. I'd love to be on the show a little bit more. I'll be in Vegas next week for the Shrine game. But anytime y'all want to hop on, just let me know. Rich, you got my number.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it, fellas.
Absolutely.
Well, unlike the Cowboys, we'll actually be in LA during Super Bowl week. So
Nice.
yeah, we'll be there.
Come check us out.
We got a Super Bowl ticket for the Cowboys, did, unfortunately. So.
Yes, we did.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, definitely, fellas, I really appreciate it. And y'all have a great day. Go Cowboys.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Corey, appreciate it, man.
All right.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, Corey. See you later, man.
That was good stuff.
That was awesome.
That was good stuff.
And
Side goes down. Don't say no chaser, baby.
There you go, man. Like, so you got some insight about how the Cowboys operate as a more or less a nepotistic entity, rewarding, basically family, people who you are like your surrogate family, as AKA people you're loyal to. That's why you see your man's Jason Witten be a part of the crew so long. You see how that works from a intricate level. And I wanted to ask, we can discuss that. Does that same thing spill over to the head coach? Do we think since McCarthy?
I'm afraid there is, some level to that, because to me, I think it's quite clear. You have a undisciplined, unfocused, unprepared football team. That is a direct indication of poor coaching. That is a direct indication of a coach that's not doing his job. It's your job to get your team prepared, focused, and motivated. None of those things happen. When the game came on, I was sitting there watching them. I was like, man, I'm going to need them to be a little bit more fired up than this. They're sitting around like they waiting to get into the club. Like, hey, are you on the list too? Like, should I go home and change the match outfits? And then you saw the 49ers come out there out the tunnel like a bunch of hungry dogs in your house. How do you let these dudes come into your house and you're not even fired up about it? Huh?
Too cool. Too cool for school.
Understand?
Well, yeah.
If they win, you go home. You don't get a check next week. And it's like there was no motivation from the beginning. And this has been a microcosm that's we talked about Dak's leadership earlier this year. He should have been up there like kicking them guys in the behind. Hey man, let's come out this tunnel. Let's go out here and kick these dudes' ass and let's go on next week.
Yep.
but it was not there. It was non-existent from the time that they got there.
In the show, and the 49ers coming out fine on all cylinders that first drive. We couldn't stop nothing.
Right.
And we come in with that same lame, opening drive crap that we've been talking about on this show the whole entire season, beside about 3 games.
If they would have gotten off their ass and stopped drinking Similac and get themselves some ASAP energy drink.
There you go.
There it is.
They'll have a little bit more
well played.
coming out the damn tunnel. But you go around sipping breast milk like a bunch of little grown babies, and you go out there and get your ass kicked, and you want to know why. You didn't behave like a football team that wanted to play next week.
Mm-hmm.
From the time that you got there.
I wanted to extend something that you mentioned, Richard, with regard, and we can go back on all our episodes this season, man, where we've openly talked about our concern for McCarthy, from game management to preparation, what have you. So let's look back at some of the things over the season that we talked about consistently that manifests itself in the playoff game. So week after week, and I went back and looked at probably 11 or 12 of our episodes, right? Mm-hmm. In their entirety. And, man, we mentioned McCarthy probably like just under 100 times.
Dang.
In 12 episodes, talking about the same thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you look at the game and what happened. You mentioned the undisciplined part, 14 penalties. 14.
Yeah, that's nuts.
In the playoff game. Okay.
That's nuts.
It wasn't, so that wasn't aberrant. The Dallas led the league in penalties. Let's start there. Okay, so then you had a whole season worth of subjective evidence of the lack of focus and being unprepared. Then you go into this heightened situation with the playoff game. And, Rich, to your point, that opening drive, I was sick. I was like, what the hell are they doing? And then you look at the comments. We saw the game played out. They didn't have fire. They looked unprepared. They didn't even look like they trusted their own stuff, which I'm not going to absolve the B from that, because I think the whole lack of preparation trickles down from McCarthy. The only coach I felt decent about after the game was Quinn, because Quinn did adjust somewhat during the game, which Quinn has done consistently throughout, if we don't keep it a buck. But I thought McCarthy was – I thought that team was completely flat. There's no excuse for that. I thought the plan in terms of not trusting what you do, to Troy Aikman's comments on how he ripped the offensive game plan, was spot on. It was like, man, why didn't you turn around and hand the ball off? Why do you not trust this running game? Why do you not trust the game plan and go to your strengths to help you win this football game? You come out with this cute crap, run the balls in the flat, man. I mean, you're allowing San Francisco to get in the game on the opening drive, and they never got it back, even though they had a chance to win at the end. And lastly, man, the comments that not only the ones from Aikman, which was spot on, but the ones from Jerry. Now, we just touched on with Cory just a moment ago. Jerry is a loyalist to a fault. We've seen that in his ownership throughout. It's cost his team draft capital. It's cost his team, salary cap implications, what have you. He is a loyalist to a fault. When Gerald Wayne Jones, that's his government name. When Gerald Wayne Jones does not come out after a few days from the emotion subsides and is still openly pissed and openly not endorsing Mike McCarthy to be back here next year, there's smoke in the city. There's absolute smoke in the city. Because I think Jerry has looked into that mirror, that very expensive mirror in his house, and realized that he's looking at his own mortality. And this was a team that Jerry had, when you look at its makeup, when you look at its core, you look at its talent on both sides of the ball, because this team has been in balance, if we're going to be honest, beforehand. The 14 team was just in balance. The 16 team, the same. They had no pass rush. They couldn't do anything. And even though we talked about ad nauseum the on-field weaknesses of this team, which was run defense, reared its ugly head on Sunday. But there were things within that game that Quinn, in his mastery, would adjust for. And they actually tightened up pretty well, even in the playoff game Sunday. But when you have that guy who's an eternal loyalist not endorse you for being back next year, I think the expectation for Jerry, justifiably so, was, man, even if we didn't make it to the Super Bowl, I don't know if he openly admitted this, but I was even if we didn't make it to the Super Bowl, I think anything south of the NFC Championship game for this team, in Jerry Jones's mind, was an abject failure. And I agree with him wholeheartedly. There's no way in hell. I mean, I like the fact that the Packers lost, but I really don't give a damn about the Packers. I think Dallas should have beaten the San Francisco 49ers with what they had. Even though they had their flaws, they should have beaten it with what they had, and they should have been playing that game in Green Bay yesterday. We should have been talking about maybe that result. Or, I mean, excuse me, they'd be playing Tampa this week. But that's I understand Jerry's open hurt and festivity, if I can make up a word. And that going into this week, man, I think there's going to be huge changes. I don't know that McCarthy survives this, man, because and I'm gonna let Cliff, you and Rich cook on this. Man, did you hear Jerry's comment about? I don't want to hear about like what you're paying attention to in the offseason. I want you to pay attention to that after week 3, after week 5, during the season. Man, Jerry is pissed. I don't want to hear about what you're addressing like week after that. That's crazy. So we'll see. I think he's done. I think there's a press conference that comes this week, and something dramatic is going to happen at the head coaching spot.
I think it's not only the fact that they lost, it's the fact of how they lost. They didn't have a chance. They were not in position to win. To quote the great philosopher Anthony Johnson from Players Club and Friday, damn, did you at least pinch the bitch? I mean, come on, man. Like, they didn't even have a chance. They were never in position to win one playoff football game.
I got funny one. I got word up.
There you go. That's the whole point.
I mean, come on, man. They were never in position from the time that they got off that bus. They were not prepared to win a football game. So you look at the totality of the season. You look at the fact that Dak comes off major injury, and the first 6, 7, 8 games of the season were exciting. I thought he was the MVP. Like, he was going to be the MVP of the league. He was just on fire. You have that. You have the rookie sensation, I think one of the best draft picks in the past 10 years. You got him. Micah Parsons. Should be they probably won't. They'll probably screw him and give it to TJ Watt because he got the fake sack record. I say the fake sack record because it's 17 games, not 16. I don't give a damn. He didn't play as many games. He had a window of 17 games to break Michael Strahan's record. So he's going to get the Defense Player of the Year because the NFL loves to spin narratives and the hero story bullshit, blah, 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 whatever. So they're going to give it to TJ Watt. But the real Defensive Player of the Year is Micah Parsons. You got that guy in the draft in the first round. You have Diggs, who has an outstanding season, albeit, giving up a lot of yards. But was it 10 interceptions that he had?
10.
Was it 10? 10 interceptions is nothing to sneeze at. First team All-Pro. You got that going for you. You have a breakout year from Tony Pollard. You got all these things going on. Even your special team stepped up this year.
Yeah.
You had every possible scenario set up for you to win, and you don't even have a chance. That's one thing. Then the second thing is you have now 2 of the hottest coaching prospects that are probably going to lead your organization this year. You don't find some type of way to retain them. So you go into the season with uncertainty at head coach to begin with, because we all left last year scratching their head saying, should this dude be our coach or not? You have that marker of uncertainty walking into the season. You have great performances from your 2 assistants this year. Every team in the league wants to interview these guys. They're going to lose one, if not both of them. So wouldn't it make sense to consider a scenario where, hey, A, this guy has failed and underperformed. B, I have 2 hot assistants who very easily could step into that role. Why don't we pull the trigger, save at least one, possibly both of those guys, by retaining them as head coach / assistant head coach? Get this guy out of here and let's start over, because you're not in a situation to rebuild. You've already committed to Dak Prescott. You've already committed to Ezekiel Elliott. You already committed to Tyra Smith. You already committed to Amari Cooper. This is win now time. This is not let's get together.
Build a program.
No, they were supposed to be compete. They will be where the 49ers are.
Facts.
The 49ers are supposed to be where the Cowboys are. They the ones that have the rookie quarterback on the bench. They don't know who they're going to start. They're the ones who had, young guys on the defensive line in the front 7, young receivers. Right. They're supposed to be the one that's trying to figure things out. They're a game away from the Super Bowl with a quarterback that's basically Matt Leinart with a nice personality. I mean, so that being said, the difference is they got a coach who prepared them to be successful. He took what he got and he made the most of it.
That is the bottom line difference right there.
Do you think it's a little bit in the old world, in the Greeks, they call it hubris, like when you were so proud of yourself that you weren't able to understand when you have basically a failed process, and it leads to your downfall. So I look at a guy like Mike McCarthy. Remember the statement he made when he was getting critique a few weeks ago, and he was saying, like, I've won championships. I know how to win. When that shit started getting hot. Yeah. Yes, you did that with Aaron Rodgers.
Don't tell me, show me.
Yeah, show me. Yeah. So now I know everybody has personal pride. So I'm not going to say that's a bad thing per se. But if you're not looking around, we're losing games. And it's not necessarily because of you, but we're not winning games because of you. And things that you can shore up, like and I got into a discussion with a brother talking about the penalties and the non-block. And I'm like, okay, you can say that's the player thing, but especially penalties, that's a head coach thing. Mm-hmm. You think Bill Belichick doesn't literally check that stuff with personal accountability and not taking his yards off the field with your miscues? Come on now, that's a head coach thing. I'm sorry. Right. You play any level and your kids are making the same mistakes over and over. It's on you.
Right.
Absolutely. Because your culture does not exude making bonehead mistakes that are taking you out of football games. So, yeah, I put that on McCarthy. I put it on him tough. And as we look forward, is he getting innovative? Is he getting better at anything? I remember some Green Bay fans kind of laughing when we signed McCarthy, saying about how poor of a clock manager he was. And it's like, it's going to show up, and it's been showing up the whole goddamn year.
And to every Green Bay fan that I know, that Rich knows, that Cliff knows, that when, and I click and hoop jargon, to every single one of y'all that laughed openly and like, all right, y'all be sorry. You were right.
Yeah.
You were spot on. I said, I've seen 2 years. I gave him a minimal pass because of what happened to Dak. Because you can't lose your franchise quarterback. And then you had the mounting injuries. So I'll give you a pass. But after this season, and because we bitched about the game management and all that stuff, even in the year that Dak went down. But this year, it was more of the same. Actually, it got a little bit worse. Like Rich, in years past, would Greg Zuerlein have made it past week 5?
Shit, no. We'd have like 8 quarterbacks in there.
When you look at the greatness of a guy like Jimmy, it's like, would he have gotten past week 5? And I'm talking about not to miss 53-yarder. I mean, like, when he got to miss extra point 2, he's out. He's out. Those, to your point, Cliff, those are the things that you allow to fester, and that's a head coaching decision. There's an accountability that you are allowing or accepting mediocrity. When your stated goal is to get a hell of a lot further than you did, but you allowed these things like that to happen during the season. So
it's on you. It's on your left.
It's absolutely on you. But to all you Green Bay fans that like, okay, y'all hyped about McCarthy. All right, y'all see, you were right. You were absolutely right. So he can get the hell on.
And the way I see it is does he get better at any of this? No. If your career has shown you're deficient in them areas, you're an older gentleman, you don't get better at those things. Like, I don't care what he said he did, taking the time off. You're not going to get better at what your instinct is. And your instinct is loosey-goosey. Your instinct is slow evaluation. Your instinct is slow adjustment. And I'm sorry, that's just who you are. You got lucky. I don't say you can't coach, but I think the game is probably passed McCarthy by, man. We got to entertain that may be the thing. And I heard this comment earlier and I don't want to shift too hard, but I want to ask this. So what's y'all thoughts of some folks calling for Dion to be the head coach of the Cowboys? I think that may be more.
I think that's
I doubt that's a real.
That's the type of shit that got us into this situation where we are. We don't have to sexy pick.
That is a hard pass.
What I called for a little over a year ago was for Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera is a football coach. There ain't as little talent as they have in Washington, whatever the fuck their name is, WFT, whatever the hell you call them. That's a disciplined football team. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They just suck because they don't.
That's very true. I would have been all over that.
They're in position to correct that very quickly because they're like, I think $35 million under the cap. They got a couple of first round picks. Correct. They got trade capital. They can go out and acquire Well, they could be one of the teams that's the dark horse to acquire a guy like Deshaun Watson. That immediately changes their
life.
They change the whole dynamic of the division if they would acquire Deshaun Watson. Something like that. They got the capital, the leverage to pull off a trade like that and instantly go from shit to sugar because they got the right foundation. The problem is our foundation is broken. And you keep trying to build on a broken foundation and the house fall down. You want to know why? We don't have the formula for success at the very top. We got a non-football guy making football decisions. Yes, we got 3 Super Bowl rings, Jerry, but you remember you argued with Coach Jimmy about trading Herschel Walker. You wanted to trade Michael Irvin. A lot of people don't remember that. It was Coach Jimmy who went out there and oversold Herschel Walker and gassed him up to be the next big thing, knowing damn well he
claim on that alone.
Fleece job.
Yeah, that was the ultimate fleece job. And I'm glad that he ignored what you said and did what he wanted to do anyway. Otherwise, we wouldn't have those rings. So outside of you exclude Jimmy Johnson's legacy, which includes the Barry Switz Super Bowl. I don't give a damn. That's his team too. You could have taken a potato and put a headset on it and won a Super Bowl that year. They had so much talent in '95.
I knew how to win.
Jimmy's legacy. What has Jerry Jones accomplished as an owner / GM?
Barely a tick above mediocrity for nearly 30 years now. That's the bottom line. He's come close in flashes to getting there in spite of, but that typically doesn't work out. And in Dallas's case, it has not. It did not this year. So there's that. There was a comment that I believe Dante put up. I wanted to address Cliff. Say if Garrett got all those years, no way Mike gets fired this year. That's not necessarily the case, Dante. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because that relationship, that dynamic, the Garrett dynamic and the Garrett relationship with the Jones family is nothing close to what he got with Mike McCarthy. There's a completely different dynamic there, and I'll give you subjective evidence as to why that's changed. Because the Jerry Jones of old would not have fired Mike Nolan. And Rich, you know this. I mean, he would have put a spin on it. He would have done whatever he done and be the marketing wizard that he is. Put a spin on it and sold next season. He wouldn't have acted that decisively. Because again, if Jerry has that relationship with you, like he had with Jason Garrett, then you're right, Dante. But Mike McCarthy, they don't have that kind of equity. So I can absolutely see. And if you've known Jerry and followed Jerry like we have for years, like basically since his ownership, then you know that his comments or lack thereof, and even some stuff that he's actually said about the coaching situation here, Jerry is strongly considering making a move. I would dare say, Dante, to you to expound on your question, that I think there is time spent right now from his son talking Jerry off the ledge, having not fired him already. That's how strongly I think Jerry feels about this situation, given his comments and his lack of endorsement of McCarthy being back here. I think there's a back and forth there. Ultimately, I think he goes because there's a Rich. You made a great point earlier. There's a win now deal, and it's not unjustified because you've got monies committed, long monies committed to a group of players, and you actually got the nice little balance, if you will, of nice drafted talent that you have contractual control of, and you really don't get that window that long. You usually have one or the other. You got some core guys, and we've seen that here. We got some core guys that you're paying well that are really good players, but you don't really have a lot around them, right? And you got a nice little core that you have contractual control of because you drafted well. Thank you, Will McClay. So you got that nice little, what you would think, Rich, Cliff, 2-3 year window to take advantage of that window.
You're going to have to pay C.D. Lamb.
Right.
Micah Parsons is going to be
come right back around.
Trayvon Diggs.
That train coming right back around. Boy.
He's a guy. Exactly. These guys you have to pay. So Jerry he's walked this. He's lived this. That's why his disappointment is heightened this time around, because he's seen that window get bypassed. So he knows what it is. And again, Jerry's almost 80 years old. We've got to keep coming back to that. So we can't, he's looking at it from the standpoint, man, we can't keep missing opportunities like this. This team was undisciplined. This team underachieved. when it mattered most. And yeah, that relationship is there. So Dante, I think don't be surprised if you see that press conference gets called around 11 o'clock noon tomorrow or sometime this week that there's a move that's been made. And let me throw this out there for y'all two and the chat jump out. You see Sean Payton has not committed to the Saints. And I'm going to leave that right there.
So you're saying there's a chance.
That could be it also.
Yes, sir. I'm saying I hope
the Dan Quinn / the Beeve scenario where maybe the conversation he had with them was, okay, go out there and see what the market says you're worth. Talk to me before you sign anything because I got something for you. So he's probably letting them test their market value, and then he makes a counter offer to one of them or both of them. Yeah. Then he pulls the trigger. I mean, I don't know. But I think he should have enough football common sense by now to know damn well this isn't going to work. He struggled to win. Mike McCarthy struggled to win a Super Bowl with a generational talent like Aaron Rodgers. I'm a wounded Dak supporter. I'll say. Dak Prescott is not Aaron Rodgers. He's never going to be Aaron Rodgers. Even though he pissed the bed yesterday against the 49ers, Aaron Rodgers is still a hell of a player. He's still one of the all-time greats. We are always going to be talking about him. That's why I use the analogy. When we sit around the fireplace talking to our grandchildren about football, he's one of the guys we'll talk about. Dak Prescott, we're not going to be talking about him unless we're talking about failure. Hey, kids, don't grow up to be a Dak Prescott. We don't want you pissing on yourself when it matters. We don't want you running a quarterback draw with no timeouts and 16 seconds left. Junior, don't do that. So that's the difference right there. But
or at least get a ref the dog on football. If you're gonna do that,
you're
going conventional. Come on, you gotta execute it all the way through.
Right.
Shit.
But for him to have that, it shows that he's not good at talent management. Because they had some Hellfire Packers teams too that just didn't get it done. That's outside of that one Super Bowl with that out of this world season from Aaron Rodgers, where he basically picked the whole team up and carried them to a championship over the Steelers. I mean, that's pretty much been Mike McCarthy's career. He's just a fat Jason Garrett that got lucky once.
And they openly used to get into it about the offense. Like him and and McCarthy didn't get along like that.
Right.
So, I mean, you adds to your thing. Did he win in spite? Because as you leave, Aaron Rodgers have done a lot of chicken soup with chicken shit.
Right.
McCarthy, what has he really done to show that he was the better entity out of that fallout? You know what I mean?
Love that phrasing, Cliff. In spite of, because now that we have a 2-year perspective up close, on these sidelines, that phrasing, in spite of, as far as the Green Bay success, is coming more and more, into relevance. I said, man, you're looking at this dude like, man, how did Green Bay get over that dude? Is to Rich's point, because they had an all-world quarterback. But I think they end up achieving in spite of, and I think that was. If real Cowboy fans want to be honest with themselves about this season, again, this show told you all year, beware, even in the middle of that 6-game winning streak. Yeah, this is good and all. We banking these wins, but hey, they can't stop the run, and they got all these penalties, and then when they get into a playoff situation or a team that's better prepared, this season is going to end early. Like, we actually use those words. This season there will be one and done. Like, I went back and counted those two, Rich, Cliff. We probably said that about 35 times. This season will end early if Cowboys don't address this. And then this happened, and we saw the result. So we were definitely on the deal. So to your earlier point, Rich, I don't think if he's got a modicum, a half a teaspoon left of football sense,
need some ASAP in their life.
Yeah, they do need. I mean, they got to make a move, man. I mean,
to make a move.
Look,
ASAP.
And if you tell me ASAP, no doubt.
ASAP.
And if you tell me, like, there's a chance, Cliff, that Sean Payton will move back to the DFW with this roster and his move and what he does, sign me up.
I would get rid of the entire McCarthy family. Mike McCarthy, Paul McCartney, even though he's not saying their name, Jimmy Jack McCarthy, Uncle June McCarthy with the wood leg, Grandma McCarthy.
Christian
Little
McCaffrey,
Jimmy
they all the same.
McCarthy the dog, all of y'all pack up.
Anybody with an MC in their name, they got it.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you how fast I'm talking about it. Immediately.
Absolutely.
ASAP.
Bernie Mac, man.
ASAP.
And I want to say this too.
ASAP.
Shout out to ASAP,
Shout out to
former
ASAP.
sponsor of the show. And guys, in next season, we're gonna do this show on its own platform. It's gonna be the Straight No Chasers podcast, actual YouTube page. So y'all subscribe to that. I put it as a comment. So we had a blazing 2 subscribers right now. So we gonna get that going.
Yeah, y'all come subscribe, man.
Go ahead and do that. Let's see what's to be done with the O line.
Oh my goodness, the no
left
line.
Left side has to be addressed. I think Conor Williams is an official bust. I think we've got more than enough subjective evidence and tape. He does not have it. He simply does not have it. He led the league in holds this year. He's probably top 2 or 3 the year previous. Conor Williams was an absolute whip. We extol the greatness of Will McClay. That one we missed on. We don't get them all. You know, nobody bats 1,000. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't go 25 for 25 from the field. Sometimes you miss shots. We missed that one. Replace Conor Williams. Find something to draft. Get him done.
It's been a problem from day one. From day one, he wasn't big enough, and he was getting whooped. We couldn't even use him.
And even when they put some weight on him, he still doesn't have it. He just doesn't have
time.
Flat out doesn't have it. He was given every opportunity. He doesn't have it.
Time to make that change.
Somewhere, and this is where I will lean on the greatness of a Will McClay. Find somewhere in doing what you do in your scouting acumen, doing what you do, Will, go find Tyron Smith's replacement somewhere.
Please.
Find Tyron Smith. The left side of that line. I think Biotis is worth another look, but the right side of that line, the left side of that line has to be addressed immediately.
Right. Those y'all that know me 3 years ago, y'all thought I was crazy. I said, I think it's time for us to roll the dice on some guy named Trent Williams. Free agent. He had the whole issue with our rival at the time, the Redskins.
Yes, indeed.
The 49ers got the guy for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
First team All-Pro.
That's rough.
Yeah, man. That's painful. I didn't do shots early.
And there was actually a market for Tyra Smith at the freaking time. We could have traded him. Nobody didn't know in the right
there was
value.
value. No question.
There was actually a market for him.
Yes, it was.
Could have got rid of him 3 years ago. We could have had Trent Williams.
Know when to hold him, know when to fold him, man.
Yeah.
You hold on to your cars too long, and then before you know it, the cars ain't worth shit.
Yep.
And that's what we have with Tyron Smith, unfortunately.
But the whole starting for center too, because I'm really disappointed in Badias.
I'll give him another year.
Yeah, at best, serviceable backup. He's not the answer at center. He's definitely not. He's not the guy that we thought he was going to be.
We hit on Frederick, who was a center from Wisconsin. So we tried to do it again.
I was thinking he was going to be a low budget Frederick, but that just
which I would have taken
more like Freddie Jackson, the singer, than it's not working. So in this draft, center, left guard, left tackle, linebacker. Yeah,
pretty much it.
Yeah.
We ain't gotta get cute nowhere else.
Don't get cute. We ain't gotta get cute.
Because I think you've got young, really good under contract depth in that D line. We've talked about that. I think you've got to get some players to support that D line. Got to get some linebacker depth. Got to get some O line depth.
If we lose Randy Gregory in free agency, which is a possibility, quit screwing around and put Micah on it. Put him on D line. And
be prepared to re-up him as a pass rushing DN instead of a linebacker. Right. Don't even play those games because it is what it is. So let's address that. Address that early.
Absolutely.
Right. I want to go back to a question, Cliff, that April had earlier about Dak. Dak coming off a major injury and having to deal with the loss of his brother. Do you think mental health played a role in Dak's struggles?
Let me be as polite as possible in this, because I take mental health seriously, and I understand it. I keep saying, we have a mental health pandemic. Screw the coronavirus. That's a real pandemic. We have a serious issue with mental health in our society that's going unaddressed. Okay?
I agree.
That being said, what the difference between Dak's struggles with dealing with the loss of brother, the possible grief that comes along with that, that should be motivation for you to do it in his honor. He lost his mother when he was in college. Okay, he lost his mother to cancer. That motivated him to drive himself to be the starting quarterback for the Mississippi State. Have a great college career, even though he failed in the draft. Came into the draft as a guy who maybe would have made the team, had a chip on his shoulder, got his opportunity, and used that as fuel to motivate himself. Why can't you do the same with the loss of your brother, man? Why can't you do the same type of focus and discipline that you had to make yourself go from a guy who's barely on the team in Mississippi State to the 4th-round draft pick to the starting quarterback who replaced Tony Romo? Why can't you have that same type of energy towards being successful and getting the ultimate prize, man? Keep pushing. Come on. Like, it doesn't stop. Life don't stop. I keep saying the same thing that I said before. In life and in football, shit happens. You can't let shit beat you.
Yep.
Deal with it, man. Create that energy, not simulate.
Yeah. I appreciate every point you just made. That's a like you said. I think it's a really prevalent issue that goes largely untalked about far too much. Than it needs to be. With regard to April's question, it's hard to quantify how much that part of it, in terms of the unfortunate loss of his brother, would play into it, with him not having, voiced any type of struggle with that. It's hard to measure that. I would speak more to I can't dismiss it, but I can't justify it either. I would speak more to the physical part, coming off, but it was a very, very significant injury. I think that we can speak to more pointedly to his confidence, once the strain happened, at the end of that comeback win against the Patriots, because if again, what we do on the show is we don't sugarcoat shit. He did not look like the same guy after that strain. And when I say the same guy, he did not look as confident in situations. He showed flashes, but he did not consistently look like the guy weeks 1 through what was that, 7 or 8 that he had the strain at the end of that game, and he just did not look like he trusted himself as much as he did beforehand. It was almost as like the weeks 1 through 7, it looked as though he's like, I'm going to show the fans, the team, and myself that I'm back. I overcame that. And then he looked phenomenal from a confidence standpoint. Some of the throws that he would make, the decisions that he would make, even leaving the pocket. We were like, we won't do that too much, but the confidence was there. He was not nearly as confident as he was after that strain. I just don't think he trusted himself like he should. I think he overcame that in small spurts at times. But and ultimately, I think just because of what we've seen from him, I think he's a pretty mentally tough kid. I mean, I know he's had to overcome a lot. I mean, obviously, when you lose your mom, and lose a brother that he was obviously very close to, is a real strong familial unit. So those things are tough to overcome. But he still has to continue tribute to his mom every time he makes a play and what have you. So there's that constant reminder. So ultimately, I think Dak Prescott is a very mentally tough kid. I think it speaks more to the lack of confidence that he had from a physical standpoint, trusting himself that soon after injury, April. So I think that's a terrific question. That's why I want to come back to it. And I think ultimately, he's strong enough from the disappointment of how this season ended, the justifiable flack that he's taken as the face of the franchise, as the $40 million man. I think he's going to come back better. One, he'll have to be, but I think just from what we've seen him, I think he'll come back better. And I think he'll come back better physically, because we're another year removed from that injury. So that's 2 cents.
I hope
right there.
this motivates him, and not only motivates him, it allows him to take some deep insight, like look to do some soul searching and say, man, what is it that I'm missing? What is it that I'm missing? To me, the things that stand out, like I said, is the preparation. The Dak that we saw in the earlier part of the season, he looked sharp. He can run to the line of scrimmage. The play was in his head. He know how he wanted it to look. He knew how he wanted to execute it. Boom, it got done. Glaring example to me was after the fake punt, when we run the offense back out on the field. Why we don't have him play ready?
Right.
He should have been on the sideline. This is what I'm talking about, leadership. Hey, guys, we're going to fake this punt. Listen, you got your offense together. Hey, listen, we're going to get this first down. We're running this when we get out there. Y'all ready? Let's go. Soon as that punter threw that ball, we got the first down. That offense should have ran their ass on the field and ran the next play. First of all, you'd have caught the 49ers off guard because they still had their punt return team out there. You could have caught those. You probably could have burned for a touchdown right there if you were prepared. But you go out there and you try to get them to take a timeout. Like what type of what? No, it's like you in a shootout and you waiting for the other guy to unload his magazine first. Like no, be prepared to fight, man. Like I mean, but it's within him. It's something within him that's like he's not trusting himself. And I don't think mental health is the issue. I just think it's lack of confidence, lack of preparation. You got to work harder, man. Whatever you're doing, do more. You got to do better than that.
You know, I'm thinking.
Maybe he needs to reach out to someone who's been in these situations. You know, reach out to, some of these older players that's been there. Like help within your organization. Reach out to Troy Aikman, Roger Staubach. Man, hey, what is it that I'm missing, Troy? Like, tell me. You said you've been here before. Roger, you've been here before. Spend some time with them. Because I don't know what he does in the offseason, but I mean sometimes
he's fans of his.
Right. You gotta do more, man. And the fact that, after the game, the first thing he does is go after the refs tells me that he's clearly not in the right frame of mind to be successful. The refs didn't have a damn thing to do with y'all losing.
And I'm gonna say this too.
Refs ran off the field because referees always run off the field. Don't act like you don't know that, man.
Infallibly.
Right.
Yeah, it's something I see too is when the last time you seen. Now this is, I'm not going to indict him on this, but just what I see is quarterbacks who are very sharp between the ears. They do this tricky shit where they do the fake spike and they just know where the ball's going and they catch the guys off guard because they just on point like that. They have all the preparation things in the bag, and I just think when I've ever seen Dak do some slick shit like that, just because he's so in sync with his receivers and just so mentally above everybody else, and you don't see stuff like that. And I thought that was a very poignant point after the fake punt, not being like, "Yo, it's time, let's go." Like, you know what I mean? And that's what guys do at that high cerebral level. Like again, it's not required, but it's extra credit. Like guys like that are just so locked in. Like, this is our moment right here. This is it.
That's why we talk about Joe Montana. That's why we're going to be talking about Tom Brady. That's why we talk about Peyton Manning. Those guys got that. Dan Marino. These are the guys who had that.
Even Big Ben,
Well, Big Ben did that play in Dallas Dak's rookie year, if you remember. That was the play that gave him the lead late in the game. When he faked the deal, he hit that Antonio Brown.
So you're right. That's a great point, both of you, man. Because and that's a level, as a fan that you hope that who's still in all intents and purposes. I mean, he's a veteran quarterback, but he's still a young QB. So there's this is instances like both of you have brought forward that show you the level that and we as fans hope that he aspires to get to. There's a level that he's not reached yet, and it's on clear display, and that there's work to do. He's not a complete work. There's a level he's got to get to, and I love the mental piece that both of you bring out because when you were saying that, Cliff, I'm like, damn, that's a breeze play. That's a Rodgers play. Matter of fact, Aaron Rodgers would pull a play like that and look to the sideline like, couch out slipping.
Exactly.
The shit he grabbed face. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I love shit like that. Look, unless he does it against Dallas. But to your point, I know exactly what you're talking about. So that's definitely a level that you want to see Dak get to in terms of being that that mentally tough, that being that cerebral, that locked in, to where he's just not got.
You're smarter than everybody else on that sideline. You're smarter than all of them. Like,
that's
like
what separates the good guys from the legendary guys. It's the guy. Joe Montana was like one of the worst athletes ever as far as a quarterback. He had like a noodle arm. He ran the 40 so slow they used a calendar to time him. But he was just so damn well prepared for situations like that. He was like the perfect. I bet they still probably use his film to teach quarterbacks how to do the 2-minute drill. Like nobody was a better field general when it mattered than Joe Montana, man. Like
Joe Cool.
Joe Cool. He was prepared. He was prepared.
Yeah.
Right.
Even look at guys like Eli Manning. We can go on the lower scale of this.
Right.
I don't care what it was when it was winning time, and if the temperature was 68 degrees, and Eli's gonna light your ass up.
Mm-hmm.
And even from a guy who made a lot of mistakes, so from a tactician standpoint, I'd take Dak over Eli overall. Mm-hmm. But when it was time, when it's winning time, man, Eli was sharp, man, and it don't matter how big or small the game. And just can we really say that we've seen Dak have a signature moment like that recently? Where
I haven't, and I mean, like I said, this is he's at the point in his career where these are his defining moments. This year,
absolutely.
Next year,
I'll give you one, Cliff. Seattle, the Seattle win. The playoff win, he did that.
Okay. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that.
The one playoff win he's got, the comeback win against Seattle. That was matter of fact, that was the beginning of my optimism of Dak really, getting to the guy.
Because he almost got Green Bay again. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. And he almost did. Yeah. He's had a couple moments. Yeah. That gives you hope. That gives you optimism. But he's not there yet. He's clearly not there yet.
He's got to get there quick, man. Because he's gonna be 29 this year. Yeah. This is
crazy how time flies. Shit.
This is where you already had those. You already got a small bucket of those moments, and then you're building on that. This is where you start to win championships and make that legacy name for yourself. So,
absolutely.
If you just want to be another Cowboys quarterback, that's cool. If you want to be remembered, we got people that know about Roger Staubach that weren't even alive when he played. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because he built the name. Who lost? Who won? Who was the starting quarterback for those Super Bowls that he lost? That he won. Who was the starting quarterback for the losing team for those Super Bowls? Anybody know? No, we don't. We don't remember them.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I'm saying?
But I'm a nerd like that.
Right. Well, most people aren't going to go around, quoting those names. Jim Kelly was one hell of a quarterback. We hardly ever talk about him.
4 Super Bowl.
He get it done.
Don't matter.
Yeah.
Gotta get it done.
Don't matter.
Yeah.
Be great.
Jim Kelly, Craig Morton.
Those are your choices, bro.
Yeah.
So
that's on point.
Take into the off season. Stop making excuses for your teammates and for yourself. Hold everybody around you accountable. If you get towels that are dirty, you get on that towel boy's ass and tell him use hot water and soap next time.
There you go.
Everybody in that organization.
Everybody get this work.
And if you have that mentality, then you breed yourself towards success. But when you start making excuses and we'll get it next time, it's okay. I'll just go get another clean towel. No, you got to have that mentality from top to bottom, man.
Right.
So that's what needs to change in the organization.
And that Mr. mentality, Rich.
Mike McCarthy's ass needs to be fired tomorrow.
Yeah, it's time.
I started the show with that. I mean, that press conference. I want to see on the breaking news scroll. On my internet, on my TV, whatever the case may be, the Cowboys holding a press conference, and I want to see Jerry and Steven sitting there at the deal. It's like, hey man, this ain't it. We're going a different direction, and I want them to do that, but I want them to blow my doors, with the hire. And I'm not mad if it's Dan Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad if it's Dan Quinn.
I prefer it, to be honest, because
I'm not, because he's definitely built an equity with this group. We talked about it the week that he coached when because we joked about it for 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want McCarthy to die from COVID, but if it takes him a while to recover from COVID,
we told him to take all your PTO, man. I'm sure he had some PTO hours left, man. You could have taken that week off.
Yes, I do.
Because even in that game, Dallas, if you think about it, go back and watch that tape. Mm-hmm. Dallas had urgency. Dallas wasn't as penalized. There was a vibe, there was an energy with the hat to the back wearing coach. Mm-hmm. That was Dan Quinn, because he built an equity. So I wouldn't be mad at that. Nothing in me would be mad at that.
I think they can have a succession plan. This is me being the owner, my mock owner, my mock mind.
Okay.
Fire McCarthy's ass. Promote Dan Quinn immediately. Right behind that, make the be assistant head coach and have Dan Quinn to start to groom him to be his replacement.
That I can get with.
Dan Quinn is not going to always be around. We know this. He's a guy that's been there, done that.
Early 60s?
But, early 60s. So, let's have our Super Bowl run now. And then when Quinn leaves, we hand the keys over to the beef. You got a succession.
Dig that.
You know what I'm saying? Money's the problem because who got more money than the star? That's not the problem. You can pay them guys.
Absolutely.
And you were willing to do all of that to keep Jason Garrett. This is literally what they did. They paid him a head coach's salary to sit on the sideline and clap like a circus chimp. As a coordinator, you got rid of Wade Phillips, who I think was a better coach than Jason Garrett ever was. Get rid of him, and you hang on to this guy for 10 years, and you get absolutely nothing for it.
Yeah, that's rough. He snaked him for the job too. Oof.
Yeah.
I mean, I love everything about what you said there, Rich. I think that succession plan.
Right.
Not only does it sound good, but it's a really viable deal because again of the equity that those coaches have built with this group.
Right.
I think that it only makes sense.
They bought everything that Dan Quinn was selling.
Yep.
Right.
If Dan Quinn told them guys to line up and run through nails, they would do it.
They're doing it.
They would.
Who the first guy to the wall is? Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Parsons,
and everybody gonna follow him,
right?
Because he's the de facto leader on that team, and they're gonna follow him because they know that kid is gonna go out there and bust his ass, and they're gonna run through that wall with shit. I can do it. I can do it too. You know how it goes. You know how people are. Yeah, absolutely.
Man,
you got the right guy to buy.
Appreciate some of these gems y'all got on Straight No Chase today, man. It has been some,
come on.
We
giving y'all extra hours, man.
It's been some uncut gems. You know what I mean? Like we talking about, straight carrots in here, man. This is going down today. This is real stuff. And if any of y'all got Jerry or Stephen Jones' email address, shoot this link to him and have him screw up to that suggestion that Rich just made, because that is how it needs to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And do it ASAP.
I'm available to be his spiritual advisor. I wear this ugly ass every day.
Just contract me in.
I just walk around and whisper stuff in his ear all day long.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cheap. You ain't got to pay me that, but just give me $100,000, I'll do it.
That's hilarious.
Good stuff, man.
So yeah, man. So guys, as we land the plane for the show, again, we gave y'all some overtime. I hope y'all appreciate what we do over here at Straight No Chaser. And we're gonna be back at it next week and the week after that, up into the last game of the year. And again, to remind y'all, we will be next week we'll be at the at SoFi.
No, it's the Super Bowl media week, which is the week before the Super Bowl.
So we got next.
Now it's the down week during after the conference championship game and before the Super Bowl. We'll be there that week.
Yeah. So we're gonna be on location, guys, and we're gonna snag some names on this stuff that you know very well.
Load up, get ready for it. It's going down Super Bowl week, baby.
We know y'all work during the week, but it's okay. Sneak away. Just tell the boss, hey, I got bubble guts or something.
Something came up.
Sneak off the bathroom, become a little lean. Watch us during the week. We just whenever we catch somebody, we're gonna pop on. So that's just how it kind of happened on our radio road. Legends just walk by you. Oh man, Emmitt Smith. Oh, there goes Roger Staubach. Hey, what's up, Troy? They go Michael Irvin. Like it just happens like that. We gonna catch him and we gonna talk to him for you.
We're gonna be out there trying to snag him too. So we're gonna be aggressive with this. We're gonna be aggressive with this. So.
We absolutely gonna get it, man.
We got y'all. Man, we're not doing no Lucky Whitehead Award. They ain't getting nothing from me.
Lucky Whitehead Award goes to our previous sponsor, No Damn Body.
Yeah, exactly. They ain't getting nothing.
Nothing.
Shout out to Lucky Whitehead Award, the most coveted award. See, it's too coveted award. We don't just get this out just because we previously done it. So nobody deserves the prestigious honor.
Earn that Lucky, man.
You
got to earn that Lucky Whitehead.
Absolutely. Anything else? I would do want to point out Lemonhead was brother. If you're still on the stream, he gave us a few of his picks. Man, yeah. So there we go. Former Chicago Bear.
Bills over Chiefs. I like that. I like Bills over Chiefs. He said Rams over Tampa.
Let me go back.
Yeah, I think he said Rams over Tampa. I mean, those are going to be two interesting games.
I'm right there with you. Those are my predictions as well. I'm with you.
The Bills are a dangerous team, man. They had their heart.
They are dangerous.
They're tough.
Absolutely.
They're tough and they're nasty. They eat with the hands, man. They don't have.
I agree with that.
I like them.
They get after it. And the fans
of the show
that.
Love it.
The Bills fans are people think the Raiders fans just like to fight. Bills fans like to go outside and wrestle.
They dive
jumping off tables and
shit. Yeah, the tables
that's a wild
bunch,
man. In the snow. Right. Shout out to the Bills fans, man. Y'all, I do admire what y'all do over there because y'all haven't had a lot to celebrate from a football standpoint. So y'all keep it lively. I have to respect that, man. I have to respect it. Sorry, guys.
I don't know about, man. I get a Cowboys kind of vibe from the Rams, man. I'm sorry, man. Matt Stafford going to have to prove me wrong. He's going to have to prove me wrong. He's failed too many times. I mean,
he played for the Lions, though. I can't fault him.
You're going against the GOAT, man. The GOAT.
Yeah, that's a hell of a win. You got to pull off.
You got to be Tom Brady at home.
I agree.
Just saying, man.
I agree.
Just saying.
That's all I got, fellas. If y'all got anything to say in part.
Nah, man.
It was great stuff today. Shout out to Cory for jumping on with us, man, with that terrific insight.
Yes,
shout out to everybody that jumped in on the chat as usual, man. We love y'all to death. Tell your peoples, tell your uncle, tell your mom and them, tell all your homeboys, tell even the folk you don't like. Tell them about, man, what's going on here at Straight No Chasing, man, because we're coming back with that heat next week all the way into the Super Bowl. Keep it locked.
And the next Cowboys game will be broadcast live in the upper room.
Yeah.
The upper room.
We're going to finish our sermon. So we ain't forgot, just the show got cooking. We're going to give y'all that sermon, that eulogy for the Cowboys, for the dearly departed, man. So that's coming next week. I think we all going to dress up for that one.
Oh, no
so,
doubt,
we got y'all.
Dressed in black.
That's it.
All right, y'all. So appreciate y'all. Hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you have not done so already. Subscribe to our page that we're going to go to for season 2.
Get you some ASAP, too.
Get you some ASAP energy drink. Yes. Shout out to everybody showing love in the chat the whole way. Y'all been holding it down. The numbers were good. Let's keep that going every week. And until next time, Kendrick Perkins, take us out, baby.
Shout out to Hoop Sharky, man. I'm gonna add you to the crew, man. This crew called Hoop Sharky. They've been getting at it, man. They the ones that's gonna grill you, man, because they majority are all Houston people. So that's
shout out to Hoop Sharky.
Shout out to Hoop Sharky.